Have you ever wondered how long should I smoke pork ribs to get that perfect fall off the bone tenderness? Well, you're in the right place. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to smoke pork ribs without drying them out. By the end, you'll know the secret to becoming the ultimate backyard barbecue hero and impress your friends and family with mouth-watering ribs. So what's the secret? It's the 3-2-1 method, a classic for a reason. Simple, effective, and guaranteed to deliver tender, juicy ribs every single time. But here's the twist. I've got my own spin on it, and I'm sharing all my best tips with you. Whether you're new to smoking or just want to up your barbecue game, I'll guide you step by step through the entire process, from prepping and seasoning to smoking and glazing. And here's the best part. Stick around until the end, and I'll share my go-to tips for knowing exactly when your ribs are done. You won't want to miss it. When you're wondering how long should I smoke pork ribs, the 3-2-1 process usually takes about 5 to 6 hours. Of course, that time can vary depending on the type of the ribs and the smoker you're using. Baby back ribs cook a little faster than spare ribs, but no matter what, the goal is the same. Perfect, tender, flavorful ribs. Let's move on to the step-by-step process for smoking pork ribs. The first step to perfect ribs is picking the right kind. You generally come across two main types of ribs, St. Louis style spare ribs and baby back ribs. St. Louis style spare ribs are a barbecue favorite because they strike a great balance between meat and fat. That fat helps keep the ribs juicy while they cook, and it gives them lots of flavor. The meat is a little bit more substantial, so it's perfect for longer smoking times. Baby back ribs, on the other hand, are leaner and cook a little bit quicker. They're incredibly tender, which makes them a great option if you're looking to cook ribs a little bit faster. It doesn't matter if you go with St. Louis style or baby back ribs. You'll get great results. It really comes down to personal preference. However, when you're picking your ribs, look for a nice amount of marbling. That's the little streaks of fat inside the meat. It helps keep everything juicy while they cook, making sure your ribs stay moist and flavorful throughout the process. Once you got your ribs, it's time to prep them for the smoker. The first thing that you'll want to do is remove the membrane from the back of the ribs. This is an important step because the membrane can turn tough and chewy as the ribs cook, and we want tender, juicy meat. Use a butter knife or spoon to gently loosen the membrane at one end, and then grab it with a paper towel to peel it off in one go. Once the membrane is off, it's time to season the ribs. Start by sprinkling kosher salt all over the ribs. This helps brings out the natural flavors of the meat. Then, generously rub your favorite barbecue seasoning on the ribs. This will form a delicious crust during smoking, and the flavors will really come through once the ribs are done. Now that your ribs are prepped and ready, let's break down the smoking process. The key to great ribs is following the three main phases: smoking, braising, and glazing. Each phase is super important for achieving the perfect balance of tenderness and flavor, so let's dive in. Phase 1. Smoking. The first phase is when things get popping. Start by preheating your smoker to 225 degrees to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Once it's at the right temperature, place your ribs in the smoker bone side down and let them smoke for about 3 hours. During this time, the meat will begin to absorb all that smoke, and the slow cooking process will start breaking down the tough bits, making the ribs incredibly tender. If you're using a charcoal or wood smoker, you'll get a great smoky flavor that's unbeatable. To keep the ribs moist and ensure that they get that beautiful crispy bark, you can spritz them with a mix of water and apple juice every 30 to 60 minutes. This helps prevent the ribs from drying out while also giving the exterior a nice texture. Phase 2. Braising. After the smoking phase, it's time for the braising stage. Braising helps the meat melt in your mouth and keeps everything juicy. Wrap your ribs in foil with a little bit of apple juice, butter, and brown sugar. The apple juice adds a touch of sweetness, and the butter keeps things moist, and the brown sugar helps create a nice caramelized finish. The foil traps all of the steam, helping the ribs cook in their own juices and ensuring they stay moist. Once wrapped, increase the smoker temperature to 275 degrees Fahrenheit and let the ribs cook for 2 hours. The high heat will help break down the collagen in the ribs without drying them out. You'll notice that the meat is getting super soft, and that's a sign that you're on the right track. Phase number 3, which is glazing. The final phase is about giving your rubs that beautiful glaze and shiny finish. After the braising phase, carefully unwrap the ribs. By this point, the meat should already be tender and full of flavor. Next, brush your favorite barbecue sauce on the ribs. And don't be shy, cover them generously. Then, return them to the smoker and cook for about another hour at 225 degrees Fahrenheit. This gives the sauce time to set, caramelize, and turn it into that perfect sticky glaze that makes your ribs irresistible. As the sauce cooks into the ribs, it'll form a shiny coat, and this is going to add flavor and texture, making them the kind of ribs people rave about. I've put together a shopping and a prep checklist to make the whole process easy for you. It also includes a few of my favorite barbecue rubs. You can find the link in the comments. Now, how do you tell when your ribs are done? Look for a shiny, slightly set glaze on the ribs, and the meat should have pulled back from the bones, revealing about ½ inch of bone. This is a good sign that they are tender and have absorbed the smoky goodness. Then we have the bend test. Pick up the ribs with tongs. If they bend easily and you see that the meat start to tear at the curve, they're done. This shows that they're tender and ready to fall apart. And then you can also check the internal temperature. For perfectly tender ribs, aim for an internal temperature of about 190 to 205 degrees Fahrenheit. This range means that the collagen is broken down, giving you that melt in your mouth experience. If you're new to smoking meat and want a little help with cooking times and temperatures, grab my free guide in the comments. It's packed with tips to help you get started and perfect your cooking time every time. And that's it. The 3-2-1 method is the easiest way to smoke pork ribs to perfection. With 3 hours of smoking, 2 hours of braising, 1 hour of glazing, you'll get juicy tender ribs every single time. If you've been wondering how long should I smoke pork ribs, now you know. It's all about timing. Feel free to experiment with different rubs, sauces, and wood chips to make them your own. Try it out and let me know how your ribs have turned out. And if you want more barbecue tips, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more coming your way. And if you want to know how to smoke ribs in a barrel smoker, click on the video right here to find out how. I'll see you there.